Okay, sawa. So walk me then the continuation of this story. So you guys at this time, you're hand to mouth in, bro. Even though millions are entering your account. When the cash flow.
So well put. Cash flow. So all the money that's coming in, we're just paying people. We're not paying ourselves at all. Hey bro, it was, I think Abel pia shaipiga story. He has a better way of explaining it, but we were both married, but we were what? Si ndio tulikuwa tumewekwa juu. Yo, because we are not making any money. And it's crazy. You're going to work every day. The contracts you signed are big, but you're coming home with 0 shillings. People won't understand that. It's crazy. Nakumbuka kuna time manze employees wetu wanatupita na gari, si tunatembea tukienda job. Wendo unawalipa wanaweza kuafford hiyo lifestyle, nyinyi mnatembea. But it's okay. We took our L's, we made our losses, and 2017 ended up being one of our best years financially, which is an election year, which is crazy. We thank God. But 2016, 2017, at this point, yes, we are starting to get structures, but we're not there yet. By 2018, beginning of 2018, I'm like, guys, I'm not going on set anymore. At this point, Abel is writing, I am directing. We are on set from January to December. No breaks. Because we are doing 2 shows back to back. So that really takes your time. And then the shows were doing so well. So walikuwa nashinda wakituongezea episodes. Hawataki itoke off air, iende off air.
But so, that's a dream.
Yeah, that's the dream.
That's I don't want to pass this thing. Yeah. That's what you wanted.
Yes.
Umefika.
Nimefika. You remember that thing I told you, Madi, the shifting goalposts? That dream you've always wanted, umefika. Lakini saa ndio uko prison, uko. Uko level, uko basement 2 sasa. Prison. So 2018, I tell the team, guys, we cannot continue like this. We are working, we're doing a lot of work. We are seeing the money coming in, but the money is not staying in the company, neither is it staying in our pockets. There's something wrong. We need now to start thinking like a proper company. And I was like, I'm not going back on set. We're going to figure this thing out. So from 2018, I did not direct another show until 2020. For 2 years. For 2 years, I was on a journey of what does it take to run a company. So now you're reading, you're doing your research, you come across something called business development. So I look for this gentleman. He's called Stan. He was like episode 2 of my interview. He's a guy I always call for focus. I meet Stan. I tell him what I want. He charges me like $1 million, Bob. Where? Is vitu ni expe. And we go, the 3 of us, me, Bob, and Abel, and our accountant. We go to Naivasha for a whole week.
So you pay the $1 million, Bob?
Yati?
You pay the $1 million, Bob?
Yes.
For business improvement?
For business development, yes. Because I didn't know what it was. We go to Naivasha for a whole week.
Stop there, wait.
Yes.
You paid $1 million, Bob?
Yes.
You know, I don't take what you're saying for granted.
To do a business model canvas, yes.
Because creatives don't invest like that into their lives, into their gifting, into their art. Specifically creatives. Doctors do, business guys do, you get what I mean?
But the companies spend millions, billions on business model canvases. Because you need to understand your business model.
Wow.
From scratch. Yeah, so it was a very interesting, it was more of a business therapy session. So you assume there's a template, you can just download from the internet, everyone thinks like that. But this guy took us from our own personal history and background. To Abel personally, myself,
alifanya masiti.
Manze alifanya hivi. CTA. Like first 2 days ilikuwa ku understand journeys zetu. And then he's just picking up points from everyone's conversation. And then by the third day now we're into now the proper what does your company do? What do they offer? But it was the first time we had these words. You guys are culture changers. You guys don't just do productions. You guys do culture changing productions. Because from our history, all of us individually in our own different journeys, every new place we went to, we changed cultures. And he told us, you guys are not a normal production company. So never ever follow the production companies that other people follow. You guys are culture changers. And that stuck with us because nowadays for us, before we do anything, what culture are we changing here? What and it was Stan. I will recommend that guy has done business developments for the biggest companies in the world, including VW.
Wow.
VW umwita kutoka Kenya anaenda Germany for a whole year. Kazi yake ni kudu structures for VW.
You've done becoming CEO with him.
Yes, it's called Design Thinking by Stan Gishob.
Okay,
yes.
Ni iko kwa screen.
Ni iko hapo kwa screen.
Hiyo kafoto.
Kafoto, exactly. So now at that point, now I'm beginning to understand, okay, so this is what it takes to run a business. But then again, business on paper and business kwa ground bado kwa vitu mbili separate. So now for those 2 years, the only thing I did was seek out CEOs and team leaders, just buy them lunch and have conversations, have my CTAs with them, just like I am with you. And so later on, when I decided to be active online, I was like, what do I need to do for online? I realized, Philip, just do what you do every day, which is seek out CEOs, but now put cameras in front. And that's how becoming CEO came about. It's from a personal struggle and a personal challenge and how I figured out how to do business. Yeah.
You know, first and foremost, that is so brilliant that you are willing to invest in yourselves to find a solution for the business.
Yes.
And financially invest time and invest in yourselves also in terms of personal growth.
So now thank you for mentioning the personal growth. So one of the things we learned, businesses heavily depend on you as a person. Bro, if you're not good with your money, your business will bleed. We were like, huyu mtu sasa anatuambia nini? If you don't have integrity, your business will not have integrity. Businesses draw their culture from their leaders.
Yep.
So if you're a guy who's shady, even your business, even your employees will just be shady. We attract who we are. So immediately after doing a business model canvas for the company, Stan introduced me to something called Business Model U. I now had to do a business model for myself personally. And it was in that meeting that Stan said, used the words, Phil, you're the CEO. Before then, believe it or not, we didn't even have structures. That this is the CEO, this is the no. But by the end of that meeting, was like, you're the natural team leader. You take over the mantle of CEO. That was the first time I got the title CEO. So now, because of being a CEO, he told me your journey is very different from Abel and Bob. You, more than everyone else, need to invest more in yourself. So he introduced me to something called a business model U. And he challenged me. He's like, companies spend millions investing in a business model for the business. No one ever invests a business model for you as a person. Understanding yourself, understanding what values, what values you relate to or you have. How do you present yourself to the world? What values do you give to other people? Like understanding yourself, inside out. After that, the three of us joined Man Enough. Personal.
I promise you, the words that have just left your mouth have made me understand and for the first time be able to articulate some things. There's some stuff that I know that I've not been able to find the words to say. What you've said right now, let me tell you, I really pray that people just listened to what you just said, because that there is life transforming. Number one, the reason I did finances the whole of last year is to learn finances. Yes. CTA is my excuse for learning for free without paying $1 million. The reason I brought Julian Kula is because I was failing as an entrepreneur. That's why I pivoted from music
to
business.
Yeah.
The reason I am doing leadership now is because I want to understand leadership.
Because you're now growing, you're transitioning.
Yep.
You're not the guy doing everything. Now you need to be a leader and have a team.
And so I'm hearing you. So this CTA for me, being the first in the leadership, Martha Karo opened the door, but this for me, to be honest, is the first in my leadership series. What you're saying is resonating so much with me. Number two, and I want every single corporate to hear this. For years, from the day I entered digital, I never put a corporate in front of a camera because I say a corporate has no soul. But I've never been able to articulate it the way you've said it. The CEO is his DNA permeates throughout the rest of the company.
100%.
So people in today's day and age, and I'm glad that you had the Safaricom CEO. It's not airtime they are buying. No. They're thinking about the CEO. That airtime and the CEO of the company are directly related.
Kabisa.
If they don't like the CEO, they don't like the company.
Kabisa.
Do you get what I mean?
Kabisa.
There are shows we don't watch because we don't like the host. The people who don't like me as a host in terms of my style of interjections and things like that. And it's fine.
Yeah.
I understand your TA also. But I'm just saying you have explained it so well. If your company doesn't, if you as a CEO don't have integrity, that permeates down.
Yeah.
So the importance of 2025, every single CEO, they have to come in front of a camera. Yeah. It is proportionally and directly related to their sales.
100% true.
Completely the story of the CEO and the culture of the CEO and putting them in front of a camera is directly related to their services and products. 100%.
Let me tell you, that word culture, when now I started learning about leadership and running a company, it is a word I had never thought was so important. And now I started studying cultures of big companies. Bro, these companies out here, they spend millions of dollars, billions of dollars teaching their employees worldwide their culture. And that culture, so after learning how to run a business, we now, all the three of us had to learn how to, we had to self-improve.
You said you joined Man Enough.
Yes.
Simon Bevy.
Yes. By force, three of us, we joined, we had to get our heads clear. We needed to improve ourselves. If the company was going to grow, we needed to grow personally. Companies and leaders are joined at the hip. As you have put it, the DNA of the company is the leader.
January, I go back to school. I do my first leadership course in maybe 15 years.
Wow.
A 12-week course. It's not at whatever, it's that if I don't improve, my leadership will never improve.
Yes.
My leadership never improves, this platform is going nowhere.
Kabisa.
My life is going nowhere. My family is going nowhere.
Kabisa.
There's a direct relationship with me and progress.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now, hey bro, you're blowing my mind. So you're running a company, but you're running yourself for now.
Yes. You
were in complete panel beating, self-improvement.
When I tell you, I did not direct for 2 years. I was not on set for 2 years. That is the only thing I was doing. Panel beating myself.
What?
Understanding what being a CEO is.
Bro, but panel beating yourself is hard.
Unajitanga mkutano. Bro, that's why you discover, kumbe I have so much BS. I need to work on. It's But that's why we have to go to that prison. Yani, today you've never put better words in my mouth. That's why we all have to go, that prison, just before the palace. That is where you get to know your character very well. You get to know who you are as a person. You get to accept your weaknesses. And if you choose to work on them, then now you graduate to the palace.
There's a video on CTA. It's called The Purpose of the Prison by Julian Kuehler. It's on this channel platform. Yeah. In fact, I'd tell you, pause here and go and watch it.
Yeah.
When I asked him that question, I was there. I was inside that prison. And the reason I asked him was to figure out, but now why? And he says the most profound things. Go watch it. It's called The Purpose of the Prison. In fact, let me answer this knock on the door. Take a break and we continue this conversation.
All right.
Okay, so you had this. First of all, did that column do anything for you?
Yes, that's why I like to say that you can eat exposure.
You can what?
You can eat exposure. Now there's a very common thing saying you can't eat exposure. How are you paid exposure? Then everybody laughs. Because there's this idea, especially if you're a young person, that you shouldn't work for free. There's nothing I disagree with more.
Oh,
in fact, when you're young, this one I'm going all the way. Because when you're young, you don't have money. You might not have skills, right? But you have time and you have energy. And that's what you have to bring to the table, right? Other people might not have those things later. So what do you do with that time and energy is you put yourself in front of people who might sometimes even have the ability to change your life. They see the song you've sang, they read the thing you've written, and that brings opportunity to you. So don't insist that I must be paid this much for this speech I'm doing right now. Just make sure you're on that stage and you don't know who it is who's going to see you. This has worked in my life. That's why I'm quite committed to this idea. When I had that column, I had a column on real estate. I came to be seen as a real estate expert. I got a lot of people approaching me because of that. But if I had insisted that the particular column itself had to pay me a certain amount every month, otherwise I won't do it, I would have missed out on all of that. But later it set me up for many, many other opportunities later. And that rule has played out in many, many areas of my life. Just be at the table. If you have the energy and the time, you go and be there when things are being decided, and you never know what that might bring for you. The other thing with starting organizations, especially in the short run, that's why I said it's not forever, but in the beginning, people are not going to pay you. Remember, we talked about risk allocation. They might not pay you if they don't know what work you do. So sometimes you've just got to take a chance and say, from my business development risk, I'm taking a risk. It's true, I might not be paid, but there's a small chance that these people will see how excellent I am. And from there, then they'll invest in me and we can start having a relationship. But if you keep everything close to your chest and you feel like being underpaid even once is somehow, I even don't like it when people say being paid what I'm worth. Because once you get a certain figure in your mind, it means you reduce your flexibility. If the economy goes down, you want to know that you're able to ride the waves, but you can't insist on the market paying you something when even those people who are paying you are also subject to ups and downs. Because when you speak with that rigidity, it's almost like you're assuming that other people have control over their entire ecosystem and environment, but everybody is just trying. That's what I tell people. So you try and be flexible, you try and be able to upshift and downshift. Always make it so that you can work for free if you want. Don't tie yourself up where you even reduce opportunities because you're so rigid in the way you think about what an opportunity is. But this is also linked to my philosophy around vocation, which is a whole other conversation. Because I believe you're on this earth to do a purpose.
Yes.
You're here to do something. And whether when you're doing that work, it's paid or not paid, it doesn't change the level at which I do that thing and the commitment with which I do that thing. So that's what now can complicate things. Because if you're thinking that this job is a job as an end in itself, you have a very different attitude than when you're saying, my vocation in life is to unleash prosperity for Africans and Kenyans. If you do that, then it means whether or not I'm volunteering in an NGO on the board, or whether or not I'm being paid millions to be somewhere else, all of that is advancing my mission. So I don't worry so much about the title or the role. I always say it's substance over form. So it's what is the work am I doing? Is it advancing my mission? Then from there, what the title is and how it's working. It doesn't mean that at the end of the day, the jigsaw doesn't have to work so you have an income, but you shouldn't make it so that income becomes a barrier to you going where you're going, where it becomes a showstopper. Yeah.
Wow. You can eat exposure.
You can certainly eat exposure. Without exposure, you might never eat. So just get exposure.
Woo.
Yeah.
Okay. Just, you've spoken so... I would like to know from you, this is a left field question because 2024 I've been having a lot of financial conversations. And this word portfolio came up in mind. The different people that I have been speaking with, it's a concept that I'd never had or understood, and now that I'm actively participating in. At this time of life, when you're at this 2008, do you have this financial knowledge of do you even know what a portfolio is? What's your financial literacy at that time? I'm talking about, you get?
At that time.
Yeah.
So what I would say, so the portfolio has very many different ways you can look at it.
Yes.
So people are talking now a lot more about portfolio careers, which they didn't before. I don't know if you've heard that.
Oh, nice.
Yes. Usually we think of it as the investment portfolio, right? So for sure, no matter what age you are, if you have an income, you must always be setting aside something to invest. So you must save. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
I have learned a lot about this being in Kenya as opposed to being in the US. I've noticed that there's people who are very skilled in finding their level in Kenya. What do I mean by this? You'll find somebody who has a very low income, maybe somebody you would consider maybe an unskilled worker. And you find that they're putting away money, they're taking care of their family. And yet, then you find somebody who's making 10 times that, maybe 300K as opposed to 30K, and they can't make ends meet, and it's a single guy. Then you find out that on weekends he's partying with his friends and he drops 30K a night on drinks or something. And that person then starts saying, I can't make it in this country, things are not fine, he's getting all sad. But then when you compare the two people, you start to realize that it's about the attitude with which you look at that salary. I've also seen that there's, and again, I'm generalizing grossly, I know that there's nuances to this, but in general, as a principle, I have found that there's people who are very deliberate about when they look at their money, they look at it with honor and they start to allocate it because something is better than nothing and they work like that. I've also seen some young people who I've spoken about who don't want to start small. They despise small beginnings. So I heard somebody saying the other day, Syokimau. Like I start in Syokimau, I buy a plot in Syokimau. I mean, they're looking, that's an asset. And that's an asset that will appreciate, which you combine with other assets later. But you don't waste your money today because you're not able to get it in whatever neighborhood it is you think is worthy of you. And these simple principles can be so foundational in whether you get off to a good start. And there's also people who resent SACCOs. They don't want to combine with others and save every month. They find it too pedestrian or too normal. Yet, those people, SACCOs and collective saving can be powerful. Yep. So what you do is you say, I'm saving in this part, I have insurance in this part, my real estate portfolio is starting today at the level at which I can do it, and over time you build, and time is powerful. If you just stick with it and you stay faithful to that, it will reward you. But if you start resenting and saying it's too little for me to do anything, let me waste it, then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So I have seen a lot of that. I have been shocked by some of the things that people do with a salary at whatever level. They're able to do very powerful things. But you really do need to work on your mindset.
For you, where was your mindset from when you came back to Kenya?
Well, with my case, I've had a lot of discipline from when I was very young, with saving and counting. In fact, now I've had to relax a bit. I used to know every single shilling and where it goes.
You didn't pay your school fees.
Yeah, I had to be. That's true. Maybe that's where it came from. I'm saying I don't know where it came from. Maybe that was it. Yeah, but I used to be very, very meticulous about that.
Okay.
And over time, I still do find that I have to strike a balance between investing, because I'm an angel investment now. I have a portfolio of over 30 companies that I've put money into, investing in founders. Yeah.
Come into that conversation a bit later.
Yeah. So the thing with that, though, is remember we said that in your portfolio you have to think about some of it is saving, where you're just keeping money and maybe buying treasury bills or something, or a fixed deposit. Then there's insurance. That's part of the portfolio, right? Because how do you make sure you don't lose it all?
Yes.
Then there's things that are investment, that look forward, that are optimistic, and you're putting money into things that could become very big. But balancing that with this other side that is more hedging, that is more about making sure that you're safe for the future, that balance is not very easy. And sometimes you can lean too much on one. So it is risky not investing. Like just saving, right? Because you're trying to beat inflation, and you're trying to not just beat inflation, but get a good return for your labor.
Make the money work for you.
Yeah, at the same time, you don't want to be putting money into schemes where everything is about investment and I might get things. Again, of course, there's different levels of investment. Some are safer than others, but you really need to balance your risk and reward. So with me, if you look at my portfolio today, it's very diverse, including some real estate. But then I still think that over time, if you asked me, I think for me, if I was to lean, I should lean more towards the safer side.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody has their comfort, but with me, because I'm an investor, I tend to see Kenya. Yeah, yes, Kenya is going to get better. I know the population is growing. Let me invest. Yeah.
From again, left field conversation, then we come to after election. From a wealth perspective, when is enough enough? Is enough ever enough? Is it the money that's the driver? Is it the chasing that, you get what I mean?
I really get what you mean. This is such an important conversation. So I know what's enough for me. And if you don't know what enough is, it can really set you up for a downfall. Because we said, you know, you have a mission in life, and I'm not saying it's a grand mission, like it's written somewhere and there's only one way to do it. Like for me, broadly, it's to increase prosperity in Kenya and Africa, right? And I love the idea of second chances and giving people opportunities to thrive. I do that by creating jobs through investment and finance, and I do that through skilling. Those are the two areas in which I'm going to help people get to a point where they can get to prosperity, right? That's my general goal in life, right? So alongside that, I would like to have enough wealth that I'm able to do that, but also starting from taking care of my family and then being able to fulfill my mission.
Okay.
But if you look at those two things, I don't know that I need to own half of Nairobi to pull that off, right? And I don't have to take so much because I'm afraid that others are taking what I have, right? So there's a balance there where you have to decide what is enough. And sometimes you've actually hit your enough, but because you didn't look and you didn't calculate and you weren't thoughtful, you're still acquiring in a very feverish way, right? So we really want to get people to a point where we are all more calm and you're also able to be grateful of the wins you've made. If you always have a vanishing goalposts, it's always moving, you'll never get to a place where you have contentment or gratitude and you can move on to the next thing. Yeah. So with me, in my case, I've thought...
Wow, you've just said something. Contentment and gratitude, it's like they're related in an essence.
They say, instead of always chasing what you want, strive to want what you have. It's powerful.
It is.
Because if you want what you have, then you get to that enough more quickly, right? Because you could have the dream wife, but if you're not looking at her that way, you're always looking for something else, or the house, or when maybe if you look at the way the sun streams into your house in the morning, if you look at the tree across the road, you're like, wow, this place is beautiful. I love the house I live in. Look at this family. You might find you're closer to enough than you thought, right? Or if you're not already there, you're not far, right? Whereas if you keep looking on YouTube at how Beyonce is living.
Or social media.
Or social media. So those are, that can really help with peace of mind.
So we will just say that again. They say?
Instead of trying to have what you want, how about working on wanting what you have?
That is a moment for you to ponder. Let that sink in. We're coming back in a few.